Can everyone hear me now? Or is there no audio? I'd very much like to know if anyone can hear me. Hannah Grapes. I could try yelling. Doubt you'd be able to hear me much. Can't hear anything. Why do I start streaming if I can't figure out how to do it, eh, guys? You can't see me. Oh, you can hear me now? I thought Mort was a guy. Wait, what? Oh, good. Resounding yes. Oh, good. Excellent stuff. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to another exciting installment of live recordings with me, Mort. I hope you enjoyed tonight's session. We're going to be recording a few stories in preparation for tomorrow's upcoming video. He sounds like a dude. I certainly hope so. Well, there you go. How is everyone doing? I would also like to announce that it's my birthday, 1 week from today. So remember to be gentle in the comments on the 8th. Maybe I'll do a birthday live stream. I kind of feel like I'll be usurping Let's Read, who has his birthday 3 days before me, because he's doing a birthday live stream. But, you know, if I'd like, maybe I will too. Who knows? However, I will not be getting drunk on live stream. Hi, my name's Natalia. Me and my son are big fans. You're the best. Thanks, Maria. Natalia. Happy early birthday. Thank you, Jensen. Hope you're doing good, man. Early birthday. Well, nearly there. Wait, will there be spoilers in it? If there is, I probably won't watch this. Just, thing is, if I thought about this, my dear Adam McCulloch. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. And there will be some, but only half the spoilers. I think I'll leave half the stories, and then the other half will not be there. Maybe DMT on the live stream. I don't know what DMT means. Dynamite. Gemini. Yes, I'm a Gemini. Happy 1 week early birthday. I've just celebrated mine. Happy birthday. Well, I wish you a belated happy birthday, Ashley Dell. Saggies, Doodleverse, so glad that you could make it. I hope that you have a good, fun time, you know? All right, then. I'm going to do Q&A for what, like 2 minutes? So throw your questions out there. And yes. So yeah, throw your questions out there. Oh, Brenner Hill, I've just finished working out and weighing myself. Happy to say I've lost 5 pounds. Well done, Brenner. That's so awesome. I myself have gained far too much weight since I've started quarantine. I look back at pictures of myself and think, my God. Unacceptable. I'm actually trying fasting. It's working out all right. I just eat in the morning, stop eating at about 4 or 5, and then I just don't eat until the morning again. Works out okay. Try and get in a bit of exercise as well. Here is to us summit babies. Summer babies, I suppose you mean, Kathleen? Indeed. Thank you, Ben. How did you start your YouTube channel? Story Master 100. That is a story in of itself. Essentially, I watched Rob Gavigan's, formerly Rob Dyke's, video where he was putting out a challenge to make a YouTube channel or video, and the best one would win loads of gear. I entered with some friends. We didn't win, and even though all my friends bailed on me, I decided to keep it going and changed it from scary videos to scary stories. Hey, Daughter of Darkness, glad you could make it. Have you thought about doing Scottish horror stories? Well, Adam, I have, and I do, but they're just not in one video. Bookworm, favourite story from recent memory? Ooh, recent memory. Probably. I can't remember. I do too many. GT3 Productions, any advice on YouTube gaming? Be consistent. Just post as often as you can and make sure your audience knows when you're posting. Don't be like me, when you know I should be posting like once every other day, and then I either don't post or it's late. Don't be like that. Don't do them all. Post on time. People like that. If you ever need any tips and tricks, I've been doing bodybuilding for close to 8 years now. Also, Southern Cannibal is pretty knowledgeable with diets and fasting. Damn, I should probably hit him up, Jensen. And you? Yeah, no, I am. My brother's a huge bodybuilder. You know, not bodybuilder like proper, but he does all the weights and stuff. Not me, though. I don't. I'm too busy. I say I'm too busy. But, I've got a young kid, another one on the way. And, going to the gym for 2 hours every day, or, the time it takes to go and come back, it's hard to juggle everything I do. Do you have a favorite horror creator on YouTube? Ooh, that's a hard question. I've got a few. I love Being Scared, Raven Reads, even some of the smaller channels, I really like them. I think Papa Scare is going to be huge. He's really good. I know the name, but sometimes I forget. Now I'm feeling so embarrassed. It's washing over me. Deadly Cure, that's it. Deadly Cure, I think he's awesome. There are loads of channels out there. Raven Reads, don't know if I said her already. Daughter of Darkness. There's loads of really good channels. Oh, A Warning to the Curious too, that I really like and enjoy their content. Some of them are really small as well, but just because they're small doesn't mean they're bad. A lot of small channels are actually excellent, and I think they're going to blow up soon. Far better than my own channel, which is why I need to up my game. Oh, do you like Mr. Haunted? Honestly, I don't think I've listened to his work in a while. Probably should reacquaint myself. Yes. Have you ever thought of writing your own stuff? No, I'm not a writer. Elivgar? Yeah. Deadly Cure will skyrocket. He certainly will. Well, Mr. Nightmare goes without saying, Chris. He is just the legend, like Corpse. Try have twin 3-year-old boys more. You won't need a gym, Shane. Well, I have a 3-year-old daughter and another one on the way. So yeah. I'm a be busy, as they say. Devil's Interval. I remember working with him years ago, I think. Haven't heard from him in a while. Miss Fearsom's really good. Great voice. Do you believe in all the Skinwalker crap? Well, I don't know if they crap specifically. I mean, I'd assume that they do. I'm not an expert on feces, but I would assume they crap. But I know you mean, do I believe in them? And I would say 50-50. I like believing in all this stuff, and I'd like to believe. I love Skinwalker stories. The Pandora's going to think the birthday celebration is for her. Maybe, and I'll let her blow out the candle. Candles. Just want to say I love listening to you while I fall asleep. Thank you, Eamon. Oh my God, Mort is live. Yes, and alive, thankfully. Ooh, I bet it's spooky poo. Yes, this live stream has become fecal-related. Let's discuss Skinwalker poos. Now, if they eat a predominantly meat-based diet, you can imagine that they not only smell foul, but also are rather dark. Okay, that's it. What do you think of Chill's voice? Chris, I think he's got an interesting voice. I think when you watch it on his channel, it's good because you know what to expect. But when he did that collaboration with Rob Gavigan years ago, the contrast between the voices was so jarring, I had to turn the video off. But when you listen to Chills, you know you're listening to Chills. But when you listen to someone, I don't know, I think his voice is cool, but mixing it with another voice can be jarring. That's just me. But yeah, I'd love to work with him one day. If he would ever allow me. Although I doubt it. I think I emailed him once and he never replied. But, there you go. I doubt he would. He's probably a busy man. Brownie Monster. Hope you're doing well. We worry about how hard you work. Thank you, Anna. And we're going to be trying to get some work done early today so that we can be nice, so we can be on time. That's what I want. I want to be on time. I want tomorrow's video to land at, 1 a.m. England time so that you guys are ready to fall asleep if you aren't already. So let's see. Kathleen, I agree. Your show and voice are nice to chill and fall asleep to. Helps me relax. Thank you, Kathleen. Mort, I just eat my tea. Oh, good. I still need to eat something. I just had some watermelon that's been in the fridge. Delicious. Hey, it's Miss Fearsome. Good to see you here. Another really good narrator. Yeah. I think I've worked with her like 4 or 5 times now. Really, really good. I've been a subscriber for years, but it's my first stream with you. Thank you, Lynn, for showing up. And Mrs. T. Iverson. Iverson? Yeah, sure. One of those. All right then, guys. So why don't we have a few stories early? I think tomorrow is going to be Starbucks / coffee shop stories, which I've noticed that some of you don't really like, because some of you don't actually listen to the videos. If anyone can offer me an explanation as to what isn't so appealing about that, I would love to hear it. So, yeah, go ahead and put your opinion. 365, The Ritual 3.0. What's your opinion on the way Swamp Dweller uses his voice? I haven't listened to any of Swamp Dweller's recent stuff, so I'll have to get back to you on that one. I'm just going to open up some of the stories before we read them, and maybe you guys can say if perhaps you don't, what you think of like Starbucks horror stories, coffee shop stories, if they're not super interesting, if you just think they're boring. Just honest opinions, guys. It's always good. I'm going to start with these 3, I think. There we go. I love paranormal videos more than anything. Me too, Adam, but sometimes it's good to, vary things. I have a shocker story if you want to hear it. You can submit it to my email, storymaster100. Gling, Swamp Dweller is awesome. Yeah, he's a cool dude. The Starbucks ones are fine. I tend to enjoy the standard creepy setting stories more. I like the creature stories more. Fair enough. Although creature stories are quite rare to come by, sadly. I actually like the stories that put me in real-life situations like Starbucks or Stalker stories. Okay. Do more Matrix stories. I would prod by 3 and... I would, but it's just hard to find them. Fun and irreverent fact, coffee shops in the Netherlands, it's a cafe where all the items on the menu are made with weed. Ah, yes, I do know that. I found the more specific ones you do with a story topic, the less people are interested. Maybe, Miss Fearsome. Maybe. I mean, it's not that scary when it's up against a skinwalker and the paranormal. It's more than weird. True. But let me try and convince you. I've got 3 stories here that I think are pretty good. So why don't we have a listen now? And you can tell me what you think at the end, whether they are worthy of your viewership tomorrow. So let's get comfortable and let the darkness take control. We're going to start with story 1. It's called I Think I Almost Got Robbed at Starbucks. It's probably darker than you expect. I decided to use a Starbucks gift card that I got for Christmas this one morning before class. I live in a college town and wanted to go to the Starbucks closest to campus, so I wasn't late. This one doesn't have a drive-through window, so I had to walk in. When I walked up to the front door, a man and a woman were sitting at the outside table, and they both made eye contact with me. I remember thinking it was kind of odd, because they looked at me up and down. Plus, it's like 30 degrees, and they were clearly open chairs inside. Come to think of it, they didn't even have drinks or anything. I walked inside and ordered my drink like normal, but I could still feel them staring at me through the front window. Once I got my drink, I started to walk out to my car, passing the two people. I heard both of them stand up and start walking behind me without a word. I got really scared and put my car keys in between my knuckles in case I needed to protect myself. I sped up and got to my car as fast as I could and locked all the doors. Not 2 seconds later, the woman knocked aggressively on my driver's side window, essentially making me damn near wee myself. The man was right next to her with a straight face, hands in his pocket, looking through the window of my car as if he was searching for something he wanted. I cracked the window like a centimeter, so she couldn't fit her hand in or anything like that, and asked her if she needed anything, and she told me to roll the window down more. I just said it was really cold, so that I was going to keep it up. She then asked me if I could give them some money, and she seemed like she was insisting, not so much asking. I just stumbled over my words and told her that I paid with a gift card, and that I'm a poor college student who didn't have cash, which was true but sounded like an excuse. The man started to look confused and angry at me, and he yelled at me to get out of the car. That's when I noped out of there and drove away as quickly as I could. I'm glad I got out of there, but they sure as hell scared the crap out of me. I probably shouldn't have even spoken to them at all. So to the two people who nearly tried to rob me at Starbucks, let's not meet. There you have it, a short 3-minute story. Surprisingly, it's got 1,275 upvotes on Let's Not Meet. What do you guys make of it? What do you think of this story? Honest opinion. I'm gonna go watch your videos. See ya. I always remember the poop stories when you said, and let the brownness take control. Ah, yes, those were the days. And I love the crazy Karen stories. Those are wickedly funny. Mortis Media, or have you done Civil War stories? I've done war stories, and I think a while ago. That story sucks. Oh, that sucks. Did you ever encounter him? Good story. I just remembered I used to know a Karen called Karen. She once called my answering machine and just screamed into it. Yeah, I think if we had to review this story out of 10, I'd definitely give it about a 5. Nothing really happened. But you see, you have to evaluate stories based on their upvotes sometimes. And it's a shame that they're not always that good, even though they've been upvoted loads of times. Surprising, really. I think it's gilded as well. No, it's not gilded. The next story we have is entitled The Ice Cream Man. This one has 703 upvotes. It's a little bit longer, and perhaps it will impress you a little bit more. Back in high school, I'd often meet with a few friends at a local Dunkin' Donuts, which was conveniently near a Oh, God. Back in my high school years, I'd often meet with a few friends at a local Dunkin' Donuts, which was conveniently near a railway we'd all take to our weed guy's house. My closest friend at the time, Katie, and I usually met up earlier than everyone else just to hang out, order our extra-large drinks and hash browns, and attempt at some "Hey, mister" shenanigans to score some tall boys from anyone. Willing to buy us beer. I'd consider us to be pretty naive and overall nice girls, which never proved to be an issue to either of us. until we were nice to the wrong person. Now for a little background of my hometown. I grew up in the forgotten borough of NYC, Staten Island. For those who are unaware, there was, and kind of still is, a pretty horrendous opioid epidemic, so seeing zombie-like civilians strolling the streets is fairly common. Because of this, I became pretty good at spotting out someone struggling with heroin and things of the sort. On this day, Katie and I met up at Dunking and sat at our usual booth. We were in the midst of messing around with our phones and being our overly giggly selves when I noticed out of the corner of my eye someone suddenly stop outside of the glass door, still smiling. I glanced over to see if it was maybe one of our friends, and ended up making direct eye contact with a basic Staten Island-looking dude. I looked away unbothered and just carried on. Just another customer anyway. After the guy got his coffee, he sat directly at the table across from our booth. I chose to ignore the fact he sat weirdly close and resisted eye contact, since that already awkwardly happened. But I guess the motion caught Katie's attention as she looked over her shoulder at the man settling in. She looked back at me, made a face that said, okay, and we just giggled and tried to move on. Every now and then, I glanced in his direction, mainly just because I like to be observant of my surroundings, but also because I kept seeing him scratch his nose, neck, and face in my peripheral vision, and noticed he was bleeding from various little cuts on his body. This was a dead giveaway he was doing some form of opiate, as they tend to get very itchy and scratch until their skin breaks. A few minutes later, the man asked if one of us had a charger he could borrow. I kindly denied, and Katie only had an iPhone charger, while the man clearly had an Android phone. This slight exchange was enough for the man to feel invited, and he'd continue to make comments for quite some time. Being that this was around 4 years ago, I don't remember the entirety of the conversation, but I do remember him often asking general questions like if we lived around here, what we do on our free time, and creepy things of the sort. I was pretty vague yet polite in my responses, but Katie was always a bit more enthusiastic in her words, making it pretty easy for this guy to reciprocate and basically join our conversation altogether. In Katie's innocent stupidity, the guy basically found out some of the main train stops we'd get off at to hang out in the area. He also found out we would indulge in the devil's lettuce, which only made this guy feel even more inclined. At some point, he mentioned how his ex-girlfriend got him into some trouble, got him into heroin, which he used to sell, served jail time for, and pretty recently got out. He also mentioned how he'd been an ice cream truck driver ever since his release, and told us that he's always driving around the train stops Katie mentioned earlier. He also, repeatedly, offered to give us rides around his truck someday, with free ice cream as the bribe. We were pretty naive and overly nice girls, Katie more so than I, so one thing led to another, and eventually, the guy was asking for Katie's social media, which she more than happily obliged. She's always been really dedicated to expanding her following count, you see. Through this entire exchange, I was mostly nodding, smiling, laughing here and there, so me remaining silent during this social media exchange went unnoticed. However, once the guy started following Katie on Instagram, he quickly found mine through a tagged picture on her page. I wasn't private at the time, so he immediately started liking and commenting on nearly every one of my pictures. The comments were extremely cringy, consisting of heart eyes, water squirt emojis, and things like, "Damn, meh." Finally, after the longest half hour, I urged we really should be catching our train. Fortunately, the man wasn't persistent after that, and we were on our way back with no problem. After some verbal recap of what happened, I convinced Katie to block him and I did the same, and we brushed it off at that. I honestly forgot about that strange interaction, until about a week later. I was hanging out with some friends at a park near my high school when Munchies made me crave Ralph's ice cream, which was just up the block. I ventured off with one other friend and almost made it to the store before the sound of an ice cream truck approached from behind us. Completely lost in conversation, my attention was only caught by the high-pitched screeching of the truck's brakes and a somewhat familiar voice. Of course, it was him. He shouted at me, but with Ralph only a couple of feet from us, I ignored him and rushed in with my friend. The guy didn't stick around, being that he was blocking the whole lane on a narrow two-way road, but we still called our friend at the park to pick us up in his car. For the next 2 weeks, there were about 4 times this man tried to pick me up in his truck. At this point, making me pretty paranoid, as I was potentially being stalked. The last time it happened, he was parked directly outside of one of the train stops, almost as if he was waiting for me. He called out, asking why I blocked him, and saying he just wanted to be friends. At this point I'd had enough, told him to just leave me alone. My dad's a lieutenant, which was a lie but slipped out in my defense, and walked away before he could reply, and into the diner, where I was meeting my friends that night. I saw his truck drive away in the window, and never had an interaction with the ice cream man again. The sound of an ice cream truck has haunted me ever since. Alright then guys, what do you think of that story? What would you rate it? Give me your honest scores now. First story, true life could have been much worse. The real horror story is my arse at work and almost missed this. Lol. So many stories, so many comments. Oh, Elky's in the chat. Hey, Elky, good to see you. I think this dude was reminding me of Andrei Chikatilo of the Rostov Ripper. He was a Soviet serial killer. Oh, damn. Probably 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10. That one was really good. You guys think it was really good? Oh, good. I was going to give it a 6. Maybe I'm too hard on the stories. Alright then, let's have the third one. This third one is... Oof. Gilded. Silver. 2,765 upvotes. This is big, guys. This means the story should be pretty good. So, let's have the story. And again, I'd appreciate your scores, so be sure to rate it out of 10 when we're done. We're going to start now. I'm an 18-year-old female from the UK. This happened in February of 2019. I was 16 at the time, and I got set up on a semi-blind date. We had seen photos of each other by a mutual friend. The guy was called Cameron, who was 19. Cameron seemed like your average guy, maybe a little into video games and anime and stuff, but overall, nothing my friends told me about him seemed off in any way. Our mutual friend gave us each other's numbers, and we texted for a night, and decided to meet in a Starbucks the next day since we were both free. I never liked to meet New people this soon. But figured since Cameron knew my friend, it couldn't possibly go wrong. How mistaken I was. I arrived slightly early, ordered my coffee since I never liked guys to feel like they have to buy it for me, and parked up a seat facing away from the door and pulled out a book. I'm there for maybe 15 minutes, chilling out when I get a text saying he's here. I'm there for maybe 15 minutes chilling out when I get a text saying he's here. So I'm like, great, I'm at this table, and I feel a presence over my shoulder, and I turn my head, slightly in acknowledgement. He must be here. Before I even get the chance to squeak a hello, his lips latch onto my neck, and he starts sucking on it. Now, I don't like people touching my neck at the best of times. I'm very ticklish, and I get super uncomfortable by people even touching it. A few times, I've had massages or hair treatments, and I've been holding it in discomfort, and he's latched on like a leech. This man also smelled horrendous, kind of like dust personified. I freak out and elbow his chest to get him the hell off me. He lets go and looks at me with this weird expression on his face, and laughs in deadpan. It's really, really creepy, and I start to become alarmed, and ask him what the hell that was about, and he just said he thought it was cute. I try to have a conversation. I'm like, okay, first impressions don't mean anything. Let's try and give him a chance. But he's just creepily staring at my chest. Wow. I didn't know Asians could have boobs like that. I better not let you go. I better not let you go. That's a direct quote. You can't make this crap up. I'm distinctly uncomfortable, but I don't want to just run away. He's giving me really weird vibes, so I go into the ladies' bathroom and wait for someone else. Water cooler. So I go into the ladies' bathroom and wait for someone else to come in. I ask her to help me get out undetected. I don't want this man following me home or something like that. She of course agrees and lends me her hat and scarf. It's February in the UK after all, and we come out the bathroom together and she manages to help me sneak out the back door of the Starbucks without him noticing me. He asked my friend where I went, but I told my friend to never mention me again. I was too terrified. I know I probably didn't behave well. I should have just told him I was leaving, but I was honestly so scared. To the guy who decided it was appropriate to suck my neck, before we had even said hello, let's not meet again. I remember this happening this morning, and thought, okay, good, no, that's the end. Alright then, guys, give me your scores. Give me your scores on what you thought of that story. I'd give that one a solid 8. 8.5 maybe. It's just gross. Horrible first dates. It's just so disgusting. Neck sucking. Before you even know them, that is just so horrible. 9 out of 10 would have ran the hell out of that bookworm. Yeah, I totally agree. I would have done the same. Gosh, that's horrible. 9. 7. Fair enough. Yeah, similar scores. Person to person. Good. 8 out of 10. 7. 10 out of 10. Totally Freaky by Marco James. Yeah, it's not quite Skinwalker Escape level, but, you know, I can appreciate a horrific situation like that in real life. It is pretty disgusting. Sorry to hear, Marco, that you're going through a breakup, but things will get better, bro. I know, Marco, especially with the cringe factor. Alright, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed those stories. Pandora should be asleep for a little bit longer. I'm just going to escape to the restroom, and I'll be back in a minute. And then we'll have 3 more stories, if you are so inclined and would like to listen to 3 more. Let's have a look. This one doesn't look that long. They're 2 reasonably long ones, and 1 shorter one. So all of these ones that we've read have had fairly long, fairly high upvotes on Reddit. So now this one is on a different subreddit, and it's got 19, which is still very few. Oh, this other one has, the same one? No, this other one also has 19 on the same other subreddit. And this last one is on the other subreddit as well. Creepy Encounters, Not Let's Not Me, and it has 35. So I'll read these in a short while. Oh, this one has emojis in it. I've lost faith already. So I'll read these when I get back in a sec, and then you can tell me what you think. Bear in mind, the lower grade doesn't always necessarily mean worse quality. Alright, then I'll be back in 1 minute. Hold up. And we're back in the studio, ready for some more stories. Alright then. Okay. Right then. 3 more stories. Remember that these are, well, let's not say inferior quality, but we can say that that they probably, well, yeah, maybe a little bit not as good. But we'll have to wait and see. It's to be decided. Alright then, guys. Time to let me know what you think. Hold up. I am currently a law student, and last semester had a creepy encounter with a boy on campus that still leaves the hairs on the back of my neck sticking straight up. I've had several strange encounters in my life, and I've had a hard partying phase that certainly left me in precarious positions. However, never in my life have I felt so uncomfortable and so suspect based off one interaction, especially considering this one was on the heels of a time spent in Paris, which I am almost certain my friends and I were human trafficking targets at a nightclub one night. It was around President's Day weekend. I live in the graduate residence hall of the university, and it is a school known for its commuting undergraduate population, so the campus was fairly empty for a holiday weekend. It was the weekend, and I was hungover, craving Starbucks. I stumbled out of bed, showered, threw on some sweatshirts, threw on some leggings and a sweatshirt and my long, tan, gorgeous wool winter coat to head towards the campus dining hall and Starbucks. I had no makeup on, no bra, my hair still slightly damp. The point is, I did not look cute. As I made my way out of the dorm with my headphones in, I noticed how eerily quiet and empty it was. It was always quiet on weekends, as this is mainly a commuter school or students live off campus, but it was especially so on this day. My dorm is a short 3-minute walk to the main student center. In between my residence hall at one end and the student center at the other end is a walled, straightaway path that connects to all 3 major parking lots. There are benches and tables to sit outside, but people rarely hang out there except to jewel or smoke a cigarette. As I approach the path, I notice a guy in a blue hoodie and Adidas track pants loitering back and forth by the sidewall bench. He was attractive from what I could tell, but looked younger than me, possibly a sophomore or freshman on campus. I didn't think anything of it at first, as many people from the university and public enter onto campus via this path, except that he seemed to be waiting for me to approach him, and just as I did come within a short distance, he about faced me. He began walking towards me, right down the path head-on, so I, thinking perhaps he was heading towards the dorms or parking lot, diagonally started walking across towards the other walled side of the path. Unfortunately, this was the narrowest part of the path where it essentially bottlenecks. Instead, he came towards me, still making eye contact, and opened his mouth, looking to start a conversation. Being a petite female, standing at 5 foot, I politely stopped, as he was now blocking my path as I politely stopped, as he was now literally blocking my path, and I was caught in between the 2 walls, and I would have had to physically push him to continue. I've always been one of those people who get stopped and asked for directions. People feel comfortable striking up conversations with me. I've lived in New York City for my undergraduate education, and this happened frequently on subways and on the streets with tourists, thus assuming he was asking for directions, as he did look a bit lost and shy. I removed an AirPod from my ear and said, "Can I help you?" He was barely a head taller than me, and had these red sports goggles that athletes with glasses wear during games, as well as a lime green string bag on his back that had the word Navy on it. He was unassuming at first, but what he had to say was for sure a first for me. He said in the calmest and lowest toned voice, "Yes, you can help me. I'm sorry to stop you, but you are the most beautiful girl I have seen in a long time. I have to introduce myself. My name is Nick." And with that he moved in to about an inch away from me and stuck his hand out for me to shake. Caught with my back against the wall and totally off guard, I stepped horizontally closer to the student center end of the path and said something along the lines of, "Oh, well, thank you, that is so sweet." I didn't shake his hand, which I found to be some of the strangest thing of all. Somehow the strangest thing of all. It was not a soft, graceful night to meet you gesture. Instead, it was more robotic and tense in nature. He then steps closer to me and asks me what my name is. Feeling very off put by how close he was to me, I told him my roommate's name and that it was nice to meet him, but I had to go, and began walking away. At this point he follows me, grabs me on my shoulder, jerking me backwards, and stops me. "Wait. I saw you come from the graduate hall. Are you a graduate student here? I had never seen you before. Can I please have your number? I'd like to see you again." Now this guy is so close. I'm facing him and was looking dead into his Adam's apple. I felt as though he was ready to almost pick me up. I step back and say, unfortunately, that yes, I am a law student and that I'm sorry. My boyfriend wouldn't like that. I said I had to go and meet him for breakfast and bid him goodbye. With this, he finally lets me leave, and I basically speed walk into the student center and look over my shoulder, only to see him walking in the opposite direction, towards the parking lot. I was pretty shaken up with how aggressive he was, and also that he had essentially watched me leave the dorm. Relieved, I get my food and then grab my Starbucks. Now, I don't have a boyfriend I was meeting, of course I made that up. So I was still alone, but the school had a very open-air dining hall, and the Starbucks was always packed with people. The Starbucks area has glass walls around the entrance so that you can see who enters and leaves the student center. As I'm standing there waiting for my drink, lo and behold, Nick comes strolling in. He spots me and stops dead in his tracks right outside the glass wall, and literally puts his hands onto the glass to peer into me. Now, an older man, presumably a professor, sitting right inside the wall notices this, as it's quite strange, lowers his newspaper, and looks around following the same eye gaze as Nick. Me and the older man make dead eye contact, and he gives me a look like, what the hell? Just as this happens, my drink is ready, so I grab my coffee and turn away. A group of frat boys begin walking towards me. So I waved at a random one and pretended to know him, as they were deeper in the cafeteria away from Nick. The kid waves back at me and smiles. Hoping this throws Nick off, I look back to where he was standing, and he's gone. This guy is watching this, clearly confused as hell, and I'm standing there literally shaking. The frat boy yelled out some other random girl's name, guessing I was his blackout hookup from the night before, I bet. So I looked around, frozen for a moment, and I thought I spotted his navy lime green bag from behind one of the side pillars of the food buffet. But I didn't waste time in finding out. Seeing my chance, I basically dead sprinted out the cafe and back down the path, not stopping until I had the key of my dorm in the lock, and I made my way to my room and threw up in my bathroom. I don't know why this interaction freaked me out so much, or why my body had the physical reaction it did, as I don't have any history of anxiety or nerves, but I do know is as I don't have any history of anxiety or nerves, but what I do know is I haven't been able to get this out my head for the longest time. Alright then guys, score away. What would you rate this particular story? Put your teeth back in, Mort. That made me lol. I'm going to listen to you guys, read your guys' comments. Good to know even Mort gets his wording crossed. Oh yeah, several times. Too much real life in this one. Better with the urban fae. Hey, it's Deadly Cure! Good to see you, buddy. Not only is he super nice, he's also helped me with a few things. Deadly Cure's awesome. 9.5? Damn, you guys are generous. I was going to give this story like a 4.55. Am I really that bad at scoring? I suppose he could have been a human trafficker. He did seem really weird and robotic. But yeah. I got distracted, hence I cannot honestly judge. Fair enough, Dub, fair enough. It's good to see Deadly Cure here. If you're not subscribed to him or Miss Fearson, that's it. When I picture her name, it's always got the letters in caps and lowercase. You know how she does it. So yeah, it was good that they joined. Awesome guys. Mork keeps getting your words muddled. I do indeed. Right then, shall we carry on? That was story number 4. This one also has 19 points. So shall we have the one with more or less upvotes now? So you guys pick more or less. Just say more or less in the comments. And we'll either do the creepy man at the airport, which is more, or the creepy man who wouldn't leave me alone even though I told him I was a minor at 17. That one has emojis in it. So more upvotes or less upvotes? Do 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 do. No comments are coming in, which is weird. Glad to know I'm not the only one who can't talk today. Less upvotes. Oh, okay. Oh, Caliborg is the only one who wants more. Oh, and Elkie. Good to see Elkie about. Thank you for joining. I think less is predominantly... Yeah, people saying less. Hey, Julie. Good to see you. Yeah, less. I'm going to grab me some water and we can read about the creepy man that wouldn't leave me alone even though I told him I was a minor at 17. Such a long title. One sec, guys. Right. Let's begin. This is one of the creepiest things that's ever happened to me. I live in Canada and attend a college in a city that's not very safe. But since I was a first-year student, I was so new to the city and thought nothing would ever happen to me. Ignorant teenage moment. I'm stranded in the middle of the night. It was about 3 a.m. I had stayed late at college to finish an assignment, which I ended up finishing nearly at midnight, and waited 2 hours before giving up, especially since there were weird middle-aged men pulling off weird vibes waiting for the bus. They kept glancing at me and I got annoyed, so I finally crossed the street where there was a run-down Tim Hortons. I called my older brother who was working shift at the airport, and luckily he was on break, but it would take him about an hour to come get me since the airport was in a different city. So I sat outside on a table with benches and waited for him, unaware that I was being watched by some dude the entire time. I guess it wasn't hard for him to notice me in the dark, since I was wearing a pastel pink sweater, but he came up from me out of nowhere, which really startled me. He greeted me abruptly, and being the typical Canadian, greeted him back and asked him how he was doing. He took a seat across from me on the table and said he was doing great, and also proceeded to tell me that he noticed me sitting outside for quite a while, which immediately set red flags off for me. Nevertheless, I stayed rooted to my spot, as he started asking me why I was out here, where I went to school, what program I was studying and in which city I lived, which I all answered, of course. It was stupid of me, but I didn't know what else to do, as I didn't want to be mean or rude. He then asked my age. I told him I was 17. Immediately, there was this uncertain look on his face, but he just kept on going with whatever the hell he was saying. I just smiled and nodded at him, but my smile dropped once he asked me if I wanted a ride in his car. I then told him my brother was coming to pick me up, and he asked how long he would be. I said he'd almost be here, so there'd be no need for him to give me a ride. But this dude kept asking me if I was sure, and that he could take me home. Bear in mind it was past 3 a.m. at this point, and if he really thought I was going to say yes to getting in his car, then he was delusional, which I think he may have been. He might have been a killer, or a rapist, or a paedophile for all I knew, because I looked a bit young for my age, and have a girly girl kind of vibe, so maybe he approached me thinking I was younger than 17, based on the fact he wasn't really bothered if I was a minor. Anyway, thanks to my constant nose, he finally got up, gave me good night with a weird smile, got into his black truck type car, and slowly drove off. I was a bit shaken by the whole thing, but luckily about 10 minutes later my brother pulled up to where I was, and I never mentioned what happened before he arrived. And there you have the 5th story. I think part of horror and scare that you have to appreciate is that something doesn't always have to happen for it to be scary. The scary thing can be the possibility of something very nearly happening. Something that would have been horrific. That's at least how I see it. Which is why I guess that stories like these, are scary, but perhaps just not as scary as something actually going on. But it also depends on how it's written, I'd say. But, context. It is pretty scary to, be young, naive, ignorant in some way, and have someone older than you when you're a minor approach you at 3 a.m. Why she was still out at 3 a.m. I would never do that. Anyway, there's the story. Scores, 6 and 7s, yeah, I'd say like a 5.5-ish. Yeah, the threat then left, but you never know. True, this one was scary for me because being Native American in Canada, this could have been easily been an end to me. Pixie Senpai. Labrador lady, Mort, do you think our British accent is popular? My husband visited the USA a few years ago and everyone was lovely, especially when they heard his accent. So that's just lovely. Well, Labrador, I don't really know the States that well. I'd love to go for real. I mean, I only went there once when I was really young, don't really remember it. Another time, but I was mostly with my friend in his house, so I didn't really get to interact with many people. And as far as I'm aware, I don't really remember getting any comments and stuff. So I'm going to have one last sip, and we'll move on to the final story. It's the 1-year anniversary of this happening, so I thought I might share it. Last year I was travelling home from South Africa. My depression and anxiety was at one of its worst points. When I finally arrived in Heathrow from Durban, I was exhausted from the 11-hour flight I had been on since 1 a.m. Due to the way my connecting flight from Heathrow to Glasgow worked, I had to pick up my bags and re-drop them off. So after that I had about a 5-hour wait for my next flight. I went through security a little flustered, as this was my first time travelling completely alone. I was with others on my flight though. I was with others on my flight out though, and after I got through security, I went to the airport showers. There was this older man standing outside the showers. I thought this is a little odd because you have been in Terminal 5. What? Sorry, guys. I thought this was a little odd because if you've been in Terminal 5, The showers are a little bit further away from the rest of the duty-free and restaurant area. I just assumed he was waiting for someone until he stared and smiled at me, entering into the women's section. Something about the smile made me move faster. He wasn't there when I came out the bathroom. Thinking no more of it, I went to get some food for quickness, and went into the Starbucks, which was near enough slap bang in the center of the terminal. The queue was so long I decided to call my mum. We chatted for ages when I realized someone was standing way too close to me. If it weren't for my rucksack, I'm sure the person would have been right against my back. I probably don't need to tell you who it was, and without making it look obvious, I took a step back, which pushed him away. Acting innocent, I turned and apologized. That's when he smiled at me. This time I smelt his breath, which was beyond foul, and he radiated BO. In what I think was French, he said something to me which I think was "Ça va, ma chérie?", which, if I'm right, translates to "It is fine, my dear." Bit weird, but as I previously mentioned, I'm not all that bright. The queue moved forward and I ordered and paid and waited for my sandwich and drink. When my name was called, I stepped forward and just went to take my things when he took them off me and said in English, "A sweet dear like you shouldn't have to carry things." I quickly grabbed them and walked away, and went and sat on the benches. He sat across from me, and put his hand on my knee. I got up, and moved next to an arm. I got up, and moved next, and... What? Oh. I got up, and moved. Next, an arm went round my shoulders. I got up again, but this time, finding 1 ounce of vague intelligence, I went to the British Airways help desk, who brought me the police, who tried to get me to spot him, but by this time he had vanished. They told me not to worry and to sit near the help desk, where I phoned my brother, who calmed me down. Later, the police escorted me onto the plane where I finally made it home, where a hug from my parents has never been so appreciated. And there you have the final story. What do you think of that one? Let's give this one a rating, guys. Let's give it a rating. Me personally, I'll start. Creepy guy. I don't know. Should we say a generous 4? Generous 4. Yeah, generous 4. Creepy guy. Just weirdo. Bookworm, 8 out of 10. So generous. Let's see some other scores. 8 from Gling. 9 out of 10 from Labrador Lady. 9 from Brienne. Planet of the Aliens gave us 7. Very generous. 9 out of 10. Elkie. Well, fair enough. Maybe it was a bit creepier than I thought. But there you have it. And now my voice is dry. There we go. Much better. This reflux business is getting old. These pills, I don't think they're working properly. Was too busy judging your French pronunciation. Thank you, Anna. I like French. When I was in year 7 in the UK, which I think is, I don't know what it's called. High school? Is that it? When you're 11? You know, like Hogwarts school age? I did French, but my teacher absolutely hated me. I'm not even sure why. She just really didn't like me. And don't get me wrong, I wasn't like a bad student or anything. I was not dumb, but I wasn't overly clever. I was, like in between. And I wasn't a bad person. And she just always disliked me. And yeah, it was, so when it came to picking our options, because I knew she'd be our teacher, I didn't pick French, which has been one of my big regrets. I think I could have been quite good, as I actually really enjoyed French. And yeah, Should have already taken French. There we go. Yes, indeed, Hogwarts school age. I do love Harry Potter a little bit too much. In fact, just yesterday I finished listening to Harry Potter, the Harry Potter books, because I'm a big Audible fan. For the second time, my friend Romina listens to it every night before she goes to bed. She runs a vegan Instagram page and YouTube channel. But yeah, love Harry Potter. I'm listening to the Tales of the Beetle and the Bard right now. It's only like an hour and a half long, which makes me sad, as I think I've consumed all the Harry Potter content there is. But yeah, I'm just quite sad at J.K. Rowling, really, for some of the comments she's left. But I try and keep them apart, you know. One person, some people's opinion they're entitled to. I don't have to agree with it. That's fine, but I can still enjoy the content, It's just how it is for me. We only have the Spanish option, Marco. Espero que aprendiste, Marco. Which means I hope you learn. Yeah, my wife is good at French, though. She took it at university. Especially arguing in French. Which, in France, she had a few problems and she had to argue at her university. Silly stuff, but she did it really good. Do you like Grimdark Fancy? I don't actually know what it is, Braveheart production. Denise Coates, generally it's all good fun here. There are so many different accents. I'd love to go to the Harry Potter world in America, though. That would be amazing. Seriously. Teachers are humans as well. They have favourites and those they pick on. Some will work on this, some will not. Sorry about that. I know, Kathleen. I've been a teacher myself, and I've fallen into the trap of preferring some students to others. But, I don't think it was that bad. It was more like, oh, you can hand out the books. Silly stuff like that. Hey, Zucker, thank you for the super chat. So nice of you. I'd love to carry on my Japanese, though. I really enjoyed learning Japanese. I've forgotten most of my Spanish, French, and Yupik. I don't know what Yupik is, where it's from. I'm so ignorant, I'm sorry. There we go, guys. Well, that's the end of this stream now. I think that's all there is to say. Pandora is probably going to wake up imminently, and I might as well end it now before I have to stop abruptly. It's been wonderful reading with all of you, to all of you. I do hope that you've enjoyed it. And, Marco, breakups suck, but they do get better with time. Just focus on other stuff, and it'll soon be past you. Mort, who did your thumbnail? Are you talking about the picture now? The picture is actually by CZ's World. It's the first interpretation of the Mort character was done by him for the Dead stream, which we did about 3 or 4 years ago now. 4 years ago now. Damn, it was so much fun. And yeah, then I just added the background and put the text on top. Thank you. Pandora's a nice name. I wanted our daughters to have original names. So Pandora is the first, and the second one we've decided is going to be called Leonora. I like that name. Okay. I lived in remote Alaska for years. Yupik is the native language. Oh, cool. Oh, I'd love to visit Alaska. When COVID ends, guys? Okay, guys, let's end this now. I'd like to thank everyone for joining. Thanks to my mods for helping control the live stream. Elkie, Gling, all the other mods I didn't mention too. Just scrolling up to check. Julie, thank you as well. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate you. And my voice, as you can hear, is already reaching its critical end. So I'm going to finish up. Thank you all again. These stories will be out tomorrow, and there will be 6 more. 6 more that you haven't heard. So it will be worth, listening to the video. But for now, stay awesome. And I'll see you in the next one.